If you're not satisfied with where you are now, it's actually a good thing. Keep listening to find out why. So here's the first question. Your perspective on satisfaction versus complacency is controversial. What experiences or beliefs led you to think that being satisfied can hinder growth? I don't know, it seems pretty obvious that once you get what you want, you stop chasing. That's the reason why many relationships kind of fall apart or they kind of start to wane, is because of complacency. After that honeymoon period ends, like when you get a new job or you get a new girlfriend or boyfriend, there's like this kind of butterflies and you just want to do a great job. And then after that fades, it turns into this complacency where the growth declines, the excitement wanes. And a lot of time you need something to pursue so that you can just go, so that you can grow and you can kind of push yourself. Because the thing is that there's a certain level of discomfort that kind of makes you move towards something bigger and greater. It's just how it works. I have no idea where this thinking came from. It probably came from all the content I've consumed, from books, motivation, sales videos, podcasts, YouTube videos. I mean, it all really starts with setting goals. You set the goal, you hit the goal, you become complacent, right? My thing is, it's always been, I remember training for a marathon. I remember training for like some sort of like powerlifting meet. And then once I finished the powerlifting meet or mostly the marathon, I just gain all the weight back because you hit the goal, you hit the target, and then you become lazy, or I became lazy. Because my thing is, I don't know if this doesn't work for everybody. I'm not sure if this is even really good long-term advice, but when you're backed into the corner, it's basically do or die and you have no choice but to survive. If I'm put in that position, I'm going to survive. And I think that it's caused a lot of stress in my life. I mean, I've experienced hitting goals and it really is that pressure that makes me thrive. But on the other hand, it doesn't make for a good life. And I don't even know how to really manage it. I mean, I wish I didn't believe this, but I don't think you can ever really relax. It's the way that pushes for growth. Dissatisfaction is what causes me to grow to a better circumstance. I say this as an observation of my own actions. It's just something I've noticed in myself. I don't think it's actually a really good thing. I think for a period of time, it's good to have that kind of warning away from something and just fear of just wanting to make it so bad and this inferiority complex that drives you. But if you got it and it's useful to you, use it. But I think over the long term, it can cause a lot of problems. Next question here. You often say that you should never be satisfied. How do you reconcile this with the importance of being grateful for what you have in the present moment? This is why I'm tortured. First of all, I'm not saying this is good advice. I'm saying this is what I've observed in me. One of my favorite quotes is from Naval. He says, if you want to be successful, hang around people who are more successful than you. If you want to be happy, hang around people who are less successful than you. It sometimes makes for a rough mental mind state, especially when you're not where you want to be or where you should be. And that's the problem. You're never where you should be. You're always behind. I don't know what to do with it. Just that feeling of you're uncomfortable. There's a story that I heard that was used in meetings that I went to when I did network marketing a long time ago. Was the story of like a dog that's sitting on a nail that's crying. Like it's not in enough pain to move. That's really kind of the whole, I think that's what the story is. A dog is sitting on a nail and it's crying. And so why does the dog get off the nail? It's because he's not in enough pain to move, and moving hurts more than staying. That's the thing. You need something that hurts enough where like it's causing you so much distress that you get off. To answer the question about how to reconcile being grateful, I'm not the one to give advice for this because I don't know how. I honestly really suck at it. The way I see gratitude is like this, and I'm not sure, it's not really a good example, but it's my example. Ever lose something like your phone or your wallet, or find out someone died, and then you find out they didn't die? You found your phone, it was right where you thought it was. You just didn't look under something, and then your wallet was right there. That's what gratitude feels like for me. It's like relief gratitude, right? And I think a big part of it is because of loss and intensity. Low-level gratitude, I'm going to honestly say, is difficult for me. And again, not good advice. It's just my truth, and I'm working to change it because I think it makes me miserable. Okay, so here's the next question here. How do you define growth in non-monetary terms? Can you elaborate on what growth and progress mean to you beyond financial success? In non-monetary terms, it's measured in strength. I look at it as strength. I always look at it weight training and strength training and fitness. And what is strength? It's a skill. Speed, endurance, agility, and skills. You're faster, smarter, stronger, able to think quickly on your feet, able to make decisions with conviction. In strength training, when you lift weights a bunch of times until it hurts, you can no longer go more. You keep doing these reps, and it's really that last few where the growth occurs. That's where the strength occurs. It's really in that breaking down of the muscle, so to speak, of the fibers that later grow back and become stronger. But it only happens at the end. And the only way you get to the end is by suffering and putting yourself through pain. It's not always true. Again, some analogies have their limits, but growth is pain. It fucking sucks a lot of the time. There is one perspective to consider that's a little more difficult to describe, and that's a perspective shift. because sometimes a perspective shift or a paradigm shift, which I learned from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is you get this shift in your mind that completely just changes the way you see the world. The moment you see the world in a different way, the world has changed for you forever. An example I give you is making $100,000 a year versus paying someone $100,000 a year. You know, that's a kind of a business owner, CEO mindset, high level. And I'm not even that level, not a high level CEO type. I'm not going to pretend to be. If you're paying someone $100,000 a year, you're likely making 4 times the amount you're paying them. In some cases, you're hiring someone so you don't lose a bunch of money. Paying someone $100,000 a year might actually make it so that you don't lose $1 million in a single year. To do a little smaller example, instead of a 6-figure salary, another example, you can work for $20 an hour selling stuff out of a retail center, like a job, or you can sell to a retailer a product and make a small profit margin, maybe 5-10%. So let's say you sell a $20 product, you make a small percentage. And if you sell a lot of it every single month, every single quarter, it doesn't require any more of your time. So you leverage your time. In both those examples, I just told you the difference between leverage of what an entrepreneur, CEO, business owner looks at is that the hour of having a job, which is not bad. I'm just saying it's just a different way of looking at things. Because we all start with jobs usually. It was important of working for somebody else or working for a business, and then later on hiring people to work for you so that you can divorce yourself from making time for dollars, or at least leveraging your time. But I do want to talk about the perspective shift of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, about paradigm shift. So in a paradigm shift, it really is just like all of a sudden the world just turns upside down. Okay. And the story in the book, which is still I always think about because it's so good. It's like he's sitting in the subway, sitting down reading a newspaper. And then there's this man that walks in and he has these 3 kids that are just making a bunch of noise. They're obnoxious. And the guy telling the story is like reading his book or reading his newspaper. And, you know, normally he doesn't really say anything to people, but these kids were getting really annoying and it seems like he wasn't really taking care of them like they were supposed to, especially in a public place. So when he goes and says to them, he says to the man, hey, do you mind like quieting your kids? They're kind of being rambunctious or whatever, right? And that's Stephen Covey, right? And then the man is kind of like zoned out. He kind of shakes his head and he kind of goes like, oh, I'm completely sorry. We just got back from the hospital and their mother just died. I just didn't even realize it. I'm sorry about that. So like in that moment, what happened? At that moment, Stephen Covey, the author, he felt absolutely terrible. So like his brain shifted so much because he was judging him and the kids because they're being annoying and he wasn't taking care of them. That was what he saw. And then when he talked to them, he found out their mother died in the hospital just a little while ago. And now he feels terrible. So his shift of the situation of like parent who does not take care of their children to a man who just lost his wife, or kids that just lost their mom, right? And that shift is interesting because it doesn't actually require a lot of pain. It's like magic, actually. I just don't know what to do with it. Here's the next question. Do you ever take the time to reflect on your journey and appreciate how far you've come? Can you share a specific moment when you realize you can achieve a significant milestone in your success? I try to reflect and spend time being grateful, but like many things, this is something I'm not very skilled at. Sometimes the thing that makes you successful in one area makes you terrible in another. It's possible to have both, and I'm trying to find it. Like to be grateful, to enjoy what you have. Like what's the saying? The saying that I love from Jim Rohn, he goes, enjoy what you have while you pursue what you want. That's like the secret of life. But back in Santa Cruz, when I first got my large paycheck of profit share, I received like $100,000. And it's the first time I've ever had 6 figures in my bank account. It's also the first time that I basically didn't need my paycheck to pay bills for the next month. It was crazy. I still remember waking up that morning, logging into the bank and showing it to my wife. And look, we're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. It's a freaking crazy feeling. I got to recall, I have to take the time to remember that feeling more often because I just remember the bed I was in. I remember the lighting in the room. It was such a wonderful feeling. And if I have more of that feeling, I'm going to have better days. Are you happy with where you are now? If so, how do you reconcile this happiness with your belief that one should never be satisfied? I mean, I have to say that I am happier with my personal life. I'm less happy with my business. Business is a tough sport. Things change. Things get more difficult. And sometimes things that are profitable you don't feel like doing or pursuing anymore as much. You should be unsatisfied with something in your life. It's the major reason why you push to grow. This is not 100% true for everyone and not for everything and not for the majority, but usually there is something that you're dissatisfied with that just makes you push. And I think more than anything, you have to not make it so it is everything. Like that's the thing. Like I tend to make all this lack of satisfaction everything. Fear-driven. And I wish I could tell you that I had good advice, but I'm just sharing a couple things that work for me. Part of why I make these videos, honestly, is really just to share my journey. It's to honestly vent and also just kind of hear myself share all my mistakes of things that I want to work on, because life is always work in progress. Most of us really don't know what we're doing. We think we do, but it's, you have no idea the path that you're on or who's guiding you. So with that said, subscribe to my email newsletter. Link will be in the description. Subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber already. If you happen to be the very few you handful of people that make it to the end of the video, I want to let you know I appreciate you. Thanks for watching.